avoid all that by you doing me this simple favor. You brought him in the world, and you're gonna take him out. And I want it done before the week is out.
Yeah. It's like a movie, the way that he moving. Rolling the doobie, sauerkraut on the roof. And this nigga sitting like he hocking the loogie. I'm politicking, I got it, I do it. I don't flock with pigeons, I fly with the eagles. Yeah, I'm royal, I'm regal, I'm loyal to the people. It's more than you see, and it's more like you see through. Yeah, fat nigga.
Oh, I didn't realize I was on mute. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Clue the motherfucking Dom, for another episode of Country Fan Mail Podcast. And I'm glad that y'all are here today, because today I have a really special guest. I'm really glad we finally getting this man on here. And I'll try to tell you, we have some funny stories on like how difficult it's been, the back and forth between us to get this all here, man. But we finally here, man. I'm going to introduce him into the studio. It's my boy, TheFatBoy. Introduce him in here. What's going on with you, sir?
What's going on? Can you hear me? I wanted to check, make sure.
Yeah, we got you good, man. I hear you good.
Okay, bet. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, sir, man. Yeah, I definitely want to appreciate you coming on to the show, man. And like I said, man, I feel like literally we scheduled it, and then like we had to reschedule, and then I was scheduling some other stuff, and I was like, "Yo, can we do this day?" You was like, "I thought we was doing this day," and I was like, "Oh shit, are we doing this day?" Like we was, it was so much back and forth, man. But yeah, we made it work, man. I appreciate that.
Right, and then I came back a couple days ago and was like, "Yo, what about da-da-da?" And then I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm looking at the wrong date too." So yeah, it was.
I was like, "Oh man," I was like, "Shit, did I mess up?" Man, yeah, man, it was funny, man. But either way, man, we worked it out, man. So let's go ahead and get it rolling, man. So yeah, first question I ask everybody that comes onto my podcast: what was the first song that you listened to when you woke up this morning?
Okay. First song.
Yeah, I know I get everybody on the spot on that one.
And that's a good question, and it stuck out because it's one of the joints I've been jamming to lately. But as soon as I got in the car this morning, "Easy Lover" by Philip Bailey and Phil Collins. Older track, but that's
Okay.
I've been jamming that track lately.
It sounds smooth though. I mean, you mentioned Phil Collins, it put you in a whole mindset. So I'm gonna have to check that out. I actually, what?
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, write that shit down. I don't like to mess around, man. People put you on music, man. You said what was the name again?
Philip Bailey and Phil Collins. It's called "Easy Lover." And it's just like when you listen to the lyrics, like at first I just like the tune of it when I first heard it. And then I start listening to the lyrics, and it's like talking about this toxic chick that, kind of like a man eater kind of joint, you know what I mean? So I'm
kind of like the white man's Dirty Diana.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Okay. I can see it. Okay, or like a Poison type shit. Okay, I can see it. Yep. I can see it. So like why do you choose that song? Is it more so because of the vibe? Is it because of the lyrics itself? Like what makes you choose that song as like your vibe song?
Well, originally, like I said, I just like the tune of it. A lot of the times that's how I start liking a track, is if it's just got a hot tune, or something catchy. Phil Collins is a beast anyway. But right, but and then after I start listening to it, because I add something to my playlist quick and then just replay it over and over and over. And as I listen to it, it becomes more relatable, as I start getting the lyrics and realizing what they're talking about, stuff like that. So that's what happened with this song, and that's what happened with a lot of songs.
So how does that tie into like your creative process? Like when you find yourself actually, I mean, shit, I don't even know if you're the type of person that writes shit. I just assume that a lot of artists, they actually write the rhymes down. But when it comes to your creative process, like when you rap in songs like "Easy Lover" by Phil Collins, how does that come out to your creative process to create Gristle? Like, because when you wrote Gristle, like you went in, you know what I'm saying? Like I was listening to it earlier, like even my wife was just like, damn, like he going off. And I was like, it's blanket, right? Because like, yeah, you went in. So like how does that kind of put you in that mindset?
Well, honestly, with something like Phil Collins' "Easy Lover," with something like that would put me more in the mindset of something like my song "The Love Affair of Don Julio." I don't know if you heard that one yet, but that one is more probably closer to that one featuring Ari Quinn.
Yes,
that one is actually
That
that was
track was
actually more.
deep, man.
Yeah, thank you, and that's something that would be in the same vein where it's talking about something similar. That
Yeah.
one was the love affair. Don Julio was one that was about having loved and lost and scorned, and there's a little bit of toxicity in there. So
Mhm.
it was kind of like a melancholy, uh, struggling to let go kind of song. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah. And I felt that. Honestly, that song put me in and honestly, I think I have this really bad stigma. Sometimes I compare a lot of North Carolina artists because I'm from North Carolina myself. I'm from Charlotte. So I
okay,
compare so many North Carolina artists to Little Brother, and in a good way, and in the best of ways. So it's like even separating Little Brother into two separate or three separate entities, if you know, you know what I mean. But in two separate entities when it comes to rapper Big Pooh and Fonte, when I look at Foreign Exchange, I can't remember what song it was. I think it was called Take Off the Blues, and then it was Take Off the Blues, and then it transitioned into another song. Take Off the Blues was them getting together, and then the next song was the song of them breaking up. And something about that song, something about your song, like just reminded me of it so much. And I think it was the fact that you had a realness to your video. Like it didn't look like it looked in a really good way homemade, but in a really good productive production way. If that makes sense, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it,
right,
it, it was almost refreshing to see something that looked like it was like, what I'm saying, something new. So like
right.
are you the creative direction when it comes to a lot of your art, your
Um,
visual art?
I am a lot of the times, but I believe in trusting in your team and trusting in the people that you contracted or whatever to work on this project. So with music videos, a lot of the times I'll have like an overarching goal. Okay, this is what I want it to be about, and these are a few things that I would want to see in the video. But then I'll pretty much like once I get the ideas in, I'll pretty much leave it to the director to
Gotcha.
actually like pick the shots and the angles, and we're gonna go from this way, and we're gonna have you do that because I feel like there's no they're there for a reason. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like that video was done by JT Visuals, and she's actually out of Charlotte too, and
Okay.
she did a dope job because it was again I gave her the overarching vision. I want to have a shot where I'm looking sick in the bar like I just lost my best friend, and then I want a
Yeah.
shot where it's like a flashback of what happened before that. And I kind of just gave her the idea that I had, and then
Hmm.
I let her pick the angles. Like, okay, we're gonna shoot from this side. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, and then
Yeah.
she's a phenomenal director because she'll also add in. While you going, she'll be like, "Give me a little more emotion." You know what I'm saying? Throw something with your hands or something. Give me a little. And
Hey, them
so,
the type. Them the type.
right.
You need them. Yeah.
So she really helped. She really helped make it. You know what I mean?
That's good. That's what's up. And there's another consistent that I realized from that video, but I don't want to move. I don't want to move too fast because that's moving into a completely different song. But and honestly, there was something that moving completely off music for a second. I do a lot of research when it comes to the artists that I'm interviewing. And one of the interviews that I saw that you did, you were talking about the opioid crisis. And that was something that honestly I've never seen. I mean, when I sit here and think about it, even when it comes to, I mean, it's something that I just don't see artists talk about. It's something that I just don't see artists really, unless they're like almost in a mockery type sense. I don't really hear a lot of artists talk on a serious note about the opioid crisis and what it's doing to people, and not only
Right.
what it's doing to people, but the correct way and to help people heal and find a way through that situation. Um, so I guess with that, like without diving too much into what you've already expounded on in that interview, because I'm gonna make sure I plug that interview into the description so people can check that. So shout out to
For sure.
whatever channel you were on. I can't remember the name, so I don't want to take away from them. But if anything, can you expound on just a little bit, like what it means to you for people to have a further understanding to people dealing with opioid addictions?
Um, and shout out to Red Hot organization.
Red
They
Hot,
actually put
yes.
that together. Yeah, they had a whole event. Some of the indie artists from the area came out and performed. And they, you know, I actually originally reached out to them to find out about performing, but I think all the slots were filled, all the spots were filled. But they was like, we would love for you to come out and talk about, you know, the topic at hand, which was the opioid crisis, and actually more so for them, it was about harm reduction, which is ways to you know, get people that may be on opioids to not even necessarily stop, but just ways to maybe prevent them from harming themselves, or you know, just to give them a safe space to express and not necessarily be judged. And for
Yeah.
me, I think that's probably the biggest part of really any drug addiction. I mean, it's real easy for us to be sitting in our car on the way to our job and look down on somebody that's sitting on the side of the road that clearly has a problem. You know what I mean? It's too easy to look down on that, and I feel like uh, the real strength of that is just seeing people as humans. You know what I mean?
Facts.
People go down different paths, people go through different things, people make mistakes, whatever the case may be. And I don't feel like anybody is in a space to look down and judge and be like, hey, you know, you because it could have easily been you. You know what I mean? Somebody
Yeah.
had, you know, a loss in the family or something like that, and you might spiral. And you know, a lot of people will be
Just
like,
go
well, I
into a
can
deep
handle
place.
it, or right. You know what I mean? So you never know what somebody going through. So just kind of within
You
your
said
ability,
you said get addicted to love. I like that was
right,
a quote. You said get addicted to love, like show love. I
right.
really yeah.
And I feel like it's just as easy to show love as it is to look down. You know, I mean, if you see this person, even you see people all the time with the signs up, you know, they struggling, they homeless, whatever. You may not be able to give them actual physical money or anything like that. You might be broke. A lot of people is one
Hmm.
paycheck away from the same situation. But I mean, even if you know,
Talk
God
to him.
bless you, or you know, yeah, you know, treat them like a human being instead of like, oh, you did something wrong. You must be there for
Yeah.
a reason. You know. So,
No, I respect that. I respect that 100%. And that honestly, anytime that I hear, a man, a black man, any man speaking a language or speaking a message of love, I feel extra drawn to it. I'm reading this book. Well, I've read this book, listened to this book on many occasions. It's called, and I've mentioned it in a lot of my different podcasts, but it's called the Way of the Superior Man by David Dita. David Dita, yes. And in the book, in one of the chapters, he explains that a man is his purpose in life is to exude a certain type of love. And it's like, if you understand what that love is, you never would have to understand or never would realize that it's much bigger than what we ever realized. And
oh
it's
yeah,
like, if you just I don't know, I can go deep into that shit. But anyway,
right.
so yeah, that was something that, like I said, it really stood out to me. And I'm really glad that that you had the opportunity to do that,
Oh yeah.
saying, with the, saying, without actually having the opportunity to perform. Like, that's
Shout out
pretty
to
dope,
Red Hot. And
for sure.
actually, I'm low key glad I didn't get a chance to perform because honestly, at the time, I didn't really have anything locked in my arsenal that would have been, you know, pertinent to the topic. So it was a
Okay.
blessing in disguise, and I still got a chance to you know, reach some people. You know, even if you the only one that's seen it, which you know other
Mm.
people have told me that they enjoyed that interview, but even if you was the only one that's seen it, I still got to reach somebody and say, hey, you know, this is a real thing, and you really need to treat people, you know, with the respect, you know.
With true respect, and that's, yeah, that's true humility right there. Because I feel like you see so many different situations where people make songs and they don't really have too much on the topic, but they try to ride the wave.
Right,
Like,
right.
I'll say this, you don't have to co-sign it, but I don't really give a damn. When the baby tried to remake that one song for the Black Lives Matter movement, but then in the other part of the song he was talking about killing niggas, I was like,
Yeah,
this
it's
wasn't the
defeats the
song for
purpose.
that, bro. I see what you were
Yeah.
trying to do, but it just wasn't the song for it. But hey, that was an example of, don't ride the wave, bro. If you don't have a song for it, just don't perform. Put
And
out a
my
statement.
example, my example of that would be you remember that song dang, what was it? Royals or Diamonds, something by Lord
Yeah,
that
yeah,
she
yeah.
had did.
I think it was, yeah, Royal or something like that.
Royals,
Yeah.
yeah, and you know, her the whole song was about, you know, not being flashy, about how, you know, they
Hmm.
don't get off on the superstar syndrome. But then Rick Ross came and did the remix. And you know Rick Ross gonna come on there talking about Bugattis and shit. You know what I
You
mean?
know I drove a Bugatti when I'm driving whips. Maybach
Right,
music.
right. I'm like, you might have missed the mark a little bit on this one, Ross.
Hey, but it's like, you know, it's kind of like somebody came to him with it and all he saw was dollar signs because it's the
Yeah,
remix of a song that was platinum worldwide, right?
popping, right.
And
Yeah.
it's like, and I guess that's the kind of that's leading me into my next question as far as being an indie artist, because I feel like a lot of it's really only mainstream artists that make those mistakes. I'm not saying all mainstream artists make those mistakes, but it's really only mainstream artists that make mistakes of being like, why did you do that song? It doesn't even fit you. Like your fan base is almost disappointed. So you being an indie artist, do you feel like you're at an advantage to an extent of being able to manage everything by your own, or is the game a little different now?
I think it's about 50-50 as far as like, do I like the fact that I have more of the control. On the one side, it is good because you can pick and choose, you know, what you do and don't want to do, what tracks you want to do, who you want to work with, that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
And so that gives you a little bit of freedom, I guess, and empowerment to I mean, honestly, say no. You know what I mean? Sometimes people hit me up and they're like, yo, can you do this and this and that? And I'm like, I can't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of the times when you like on a label and you mainstream, you may not have that option. It might be this really ain't my lane. Like, cause I don't fault a lot of mainstream artists for doing that because a lot of them are beholden to contracts, you know, financials, that kind of thing.
Mm.
So they may be like, nah, that ain't my lane. And they might even say that to the people in the boardroom or whoever.
But
But
they
at the
gotta
end of the
do it.
day, right, they want their money back.
Okay.
So, you know, I don't fault them. Now on the other side, it can be tough to do everything on your own. You still have the control, yes, but at the same time, it's literally all in your control. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
show, every interview, every production, every song, every promotion, like everything is kind of in you and on you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Good, bad, or ugly. Which again can have its own double-edged sword. But you know, just to stay on the topic at hand, that's probably
Mhm.
for me it's a 50-50. It's good in a lot of ways, and it can be a little bit of a hindrance in a lot.
Okay. And diving deeper into being an indie artist, you're an indie artist and you're also an indie artist in North Carolina. And honestly, and it's so crazy how widespread the reach of North Carolina artists are, especially independent or even underground artists. It's like even earlier, I was listening to the Breakfast Club and I was listening to the Breakfast Club interview with Benny the Butcher. And Benny the Butcher said that the moment that he realized that he was validated as an artist is when rapper Big Pooh said his name when he was on the Breakfast Club. He was like, that's when I realized that I was validated as an artist, like in the game. When like rapper Big Pooh was like, yo, listen to Benny the Butcher. He's coming.
Yeah.
Like the Butcher coming, nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like I've you know, Drake has shouted out Little Brother. You know, so many like legend, you know, J. Cole, of course, you know, like Kendrick, all these people, even Luke has of course paid homage back home. So it's like you have so many of these major artists that like I feel like North Carolina just breeds a different type of artist. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? Like y'all are different. Like I put you in that category, G. Like y'all are different. So how is it maneuvering in that field of the North Carolina artists? Not even thinking like outside of the box, like just like in Greensboro and Charlotte and FedNam and like wherever at. Like how is it maneuvering that field?
Um, it can be a bit of a challenge. And honestly, like anything that you really care about and really going for can be a bit of a challenge. So I don't want to overplay that too much,
Hmm.
but it's fun. Like it's kind of when you're serious about it, it can be fun to navigate it, even with some of the BS, and then with some of the good sides. You know what I mean? It could be a lot of fun to navigate it and just trying to figure it out.
Yep.
There's a lot of talent. I see. I mean, you know, me aside, like I could big me up all day, but there's a lot of cats in North Carolina that really, you know, they got great music. They
Hey,
got a
shout
good
some out.
image.
Shout some
Right.
out.
Right off the top of my head, I gotta think like XLTAOP. I gotta shout out Eddie Ruger out of Greensboro, man. He's one,
Word.
him and Ty Brew, they're two cats that I've low key looked up to for a long time because they're doing a lot of it independently. Like they're doing the merch and they're doing their own shows and they're
Yeah.
doing their own photo shoots and video shoots, and that's really kind of the stuff that I've been really on lately is kind of ownership. And
Where
so it's a
I've
puzzle.
been
You know what
noticing
I
a lot of
mean?
that with your shit. Like I know you redid your whole Instagram and shit.
Yep.
Like I was
Um,
like one day, like I don't know if I looked the day that you was literally redoing everything, and I was like, did this nigga block me? Like I was like, what the fuck? I don't see none of his photos. And then like I looked again, and there was 2 photos up. I looked again, there was like 5 photos. I was like, okay, he's uploading shit,
hmm
periodically. But cause I had to do the same thing before. I went from a rebrand, essentially from Black Wall Music to Country Fan Mail. So when I did that, I had to literally rebrand everything. I had like
Yep.
500 and something pics, and I was like, fuck. And I had to just go and take them all down and slowly build back up. So, and is that what kind of what you were talking about as far as that ownership aspect, kind of putting that
Yeah.
that brand?
Yep. And that's exactly it. And usually what I do is just to kind of keep it fresh at the top of every year, I'll go back through and just, or really before that, probably about November, December, I'll go back through and start just deleting the older posts
Oh, so this is the
from the
regular
from
thing
the
for
year
you.
before. Right. Yeah. I do this every year. And so at the end of the
Gotcha.
year, I'll drop all the previous stuff. And then I mean, just to keep it all the way live and a gym for artists on the low, I have a lot of what they call evergreen content, which is reusable. You know what I mean? It don't have a
Evergreen
date on it.
content.
Yep, and it's reusable. So, for example, photo shoot pictures. You know what I mean? Photo
Mm-hmm.
shoot pictures are just like a song. You might have heard it 100 times. Your best friend heard it. Your fan base heard it. But there's always somebody out there that hasn't heard it. The same thing goes for flyers and pictures that aren't. Like if you have an event flyer, then and you got the date on it
The
and
date and
everything, then
everything. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that probably ain't gonna be it. But if you got some good photo shoot pictures or you got some videos of you performing or stuff like that, you can reuse that because okay, the people last year saw it, but then you done added new followers and new people to your website or whatever.
Man,
They ain't
yeah.
seen it yet. Throw it back up there again. You know
See,
what I
that's
mean?
some real advice, man. Because I think that's part of like the point of being a content creator. When you have a fan base, and a lot of the fan base, usually it starts right at home, right? It's usually the
Mm-hmm.
people that you know, and then you sometimes think like, damn, there's millions and billions of other people out there, right? But you're only thinking about like, dang, I'm only reaching out to people I know, but like, nah, they've already seen it. I don't even care about them. I'm trying to get to these other, like, it's different. It's
Yeah,
different when
yeah,
when you think about it like that. Like when I post a reel on Instagram and I get some of the likes and shit, I be like, I don't know a lot of these people, and it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? It kind of blows your mind a little bit.
yeah. And I like new people. Like I try to stick to my tribe for sure. The people that are there, and especially the people that have been there for a while. I
Hmm.
try to stick to them, but I do like new people um, because they're just getting introduced to the message and the image and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
And it's kind of their chance to see, do you like it? Do you not? Do you enjoy the music? Am I reaching you? If not, that's cool.
for
But
sure.
whatever the case may be, I do enjoy that aspect.
Already, man, and I think maintaining the image and building a steady brand is very important. That's one thing that I've seen through a lot of your visuals. You maintain a steady brand. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I'm literally about to watch a movie when one of your videos is coming on. You know what I'm saying? You got the logo right there. It's like boom, it's in your face. You know exactly what you're looking at. So with that being said, like when I was doing a lot of research on you, I see a lot of different variations of the Fat Boy. There's, saying this version of it. Not too many on like music platforms. You kind of got that locked down. But there's some other stuff like how do you stand out? Like, have you ever had any issues with that? Like with having a similar name? Because it's like even with me being in music, with my name being Clue, it's like if I ever get that big, I don't want nobody to associate me with, of course, the infamous DJ Clue. So it's
Right.
like, how do you maneuver that space?
Um, that's actually something that has come up. It came up. It's come up a lot
Mm.
previously because, like you said, there's a lot of. I literally had somebody hit me up one day years ago, and they were like, "Yo, I didn't know y'all was still making music. I used to love your stuff back in the '80s." And they was talking about the
Not the
Fat
Fat
Boys,
Boys.
right? You know what I mean? And
That's
they was just in
wild.
my inbox, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I love the Fat Boys too, but that's not.
Yo, that's
So
wild.
you know, when you stuff like that happen, you definitely got to take stock. But then on top of that, you start looking into trademarking and stuff. And FatBoy is really trademarked. Like
Yeah.
my logo and everything is good on that note. But the name FatBoy, like there's 100,000. There's a FatBoy Harley, and there's a FatBoy ice cream, and there's a there's 1,000 FatBoys. So I've definitely had to go back into it, and that's part of the rebranding. So I'm actually just gonna go by Fat. It's an acronym. I'm not gonna tell y'all what the acronym is, so I can go and
Is
get
it
everything
still
together
FAT
on it.
though?
Yeah, it's still gonna be FAT.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be FAT, which I've been trying to transition into for a while. But at this point, a lot of people are familiar with the FatBoy, the FatBoy, the FatBoy. But now, like really, especially at the top of next year, I'm gonna definitely probably make an announcement, maybe like halfway through the year this year. But next year is gonna be that's gonna be one of the big changes that I'm gonna be making.
I mean, I think you'll be all right. I mean, it's like, you know,
Yeah,
you got
yeah,
Snoop Doggy Dogg and then you got Snoop.
yeah.
Don't nobody call that nigga Snoop Doggy Dogg no more. You know what I'm saying? It's like we know his whole name, but
Right.
just don't be like, P. Diddy, Sean John,
Yeah.
Sean Combs, whatever the fuck his name is.
Puffy, all that.
Puffy,
Yeah.
Puff Daddy, all that crazy shit, man. But yeah, going back into your visuals, man, I wanted to definitely circle back. So, like I said, going into one of the consistent things that I saw in your videos was some of the characters, some of the people who were acting out in the videos. I know I saw in one video it was almost the antagonist or the lure almost when it comes to that One Night in Baton Rouge song. She lured the man into the actually, you know what? I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm gonna plug that in.
Yeah.
To the I'm gonna plug that into the description. So y'all definitely make sure y'all go check his video out. One Night in Baton Rouge featuring J Hood. I got that right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
featuring J Hood.
Make sure y'all check that out. But yeah, so anyways, the antagonist was a female, a familiar face, and then there was the hit woman. In a sense, she was a familiar face. So like, are they like are they like part of the production crew? Are they fam to you? Like you shot them out?
Yeah. Definitely the first person you was talking about was V. Her IG is at VEE, the fluffy model, all one word, number 2 at the end.
Gotcha.
And she, she's a good friend. We chat and there are times when I'm like, hey, I need somebody to be in the video. And if she's available to do it, she'll come through and do it. And I appreciate the love, you know what I mean? Another one is my girl Fee, Felicia. She's a plus model, and she's been in a few videos, and she's another one that she'll,
is she the one in the Gristle video?
Yeah, that's her in the Gristle video. That's
Gotcha.
where everybody remember her from.
Yeah,
and
yeah, that was a fire video.
Thank you.
Shout out to Fee.
Yeah. She's and she likes coming through, and it's also exposure. You know what I'm saying? Especially like when you're a model or something, it's just another level of content that you can add. So I definitely appreciate it. Another one is my man Av. He come through and he was in the Eat video. He was in the Gristle video. He was the first cat I dapped up in the Gristle video. He was in the Eat video. So her and him are probably neck and neck for the number of videos that they've been in. But yeah, I love everybody that come out and because it's always a good experience. We always have fun. We always have some laughs. Yeah. It's always great. So shout out to them.
Yeah, I like I said, I really appreciate watching your videos and it's easy kind of getting lost in the content and actually just kind of when you can get lost in the content, you have to rewatch it a few different times. I can watch it one time for the lyrics, I can watch it one time for the content, I can watch it one time and just kind of notice little different things. Like now that I'll go back, I can look and be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's the cat he's talking about that he dapped up first in the video. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, you just kind of realize little things. And it's funny because when I saw you promoting for One Night in Baton Rouge, and all I kept seeing was a scene where Shawty was taking him into the hotel room. And in my mind, I was already like, sketchy. There's already this crazy sketchy to be right. But I never even seen the rest of the video, right? So I'm just like, all right, cool. So I'm watching it, and that's how I do my promos. I watched it and I see what I want to chop out or whatever. And I'm watching it, and I was just like, yo, that was wild. I had to rewind it, and I didn't even notice the whole time that she like it caught me completely off guard, even though I saw the almost ending scene. And then I thought that she, anyways, I'm like I said, I want to spoil it. I want to spoil it. Yeah, make sure
And
y'all
low
go check
key,
out that video, man. It's so dope.
low key, I appreciate that for real. Low key, I hesitated. I really hesitated to put out that final scene as a trailer.
Word.
And yeah, because I was like, I don't want to give it away. But like you said, when you see that and then you go back and watch the rest of the video, a lot of
It's
stuff makes sense.
yeah, it makes sense and it just catches you off guard. And I was like I said, I was still kind of like, what the fuck? Like yeah, it was really dope, man. I like I said, I appreciated it and it put me in almost yeah, like I said, I don't want to say too much, man. I
Right.
feel like I was spoiling
And,
every time,
and,
man.
and shout out to Visual Dynasty Productions. They did a lot of the
Visual
shooting.
Dynasty,
And
yeah.
and again, it was the same scenario. I went in and I was like, look, I wanted to be, because the song give me like mafia vibes, like a black mafia movie. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the
All
vibe
I
I got.
saw was like Frank Lucas type shit,
Right. You know what I
or
mean?
his boss. What was it?
Uh uh
You know what I'm talking
uh
about?
Bumpy.
Bumpy
Bumpy,
Johnson.
yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep. That's definitely the vibe that it put me in for sure, man.
And
And
so
yeah,
that's the vibe I went into with the video. I was like, yo, I want to do a movie. I because at first I was like, of course you go into it and you like, yo, we could do some cool rapping scenes, but we just, what. And I was like, nah, I want to do it. I want to do a short film. Actually, I want to
yeah,
make it the movie that I picture. So I went
it
with
was
kind of like
definitely
a
a short film vibe, man.
right, and I was excited when I saw the result, because I went to Visual Dynasty and I was like, I want this, this, and this. This is what I want to see.
Hmm.
So let's see how we can make it happen. And so we got up and we shot the video, and a lot went on during the shoot. I remember like the first hotel that we had, the first hotel that we had actually rented the room. We went, got the key and everything, and everybody's, packing up. We got the equipment, and we walk into the room, and the guy comes busting out the side door. And he's like, "No, you can't come shoot here. You can't." Like he really was going off on us. You know what I mean?
Oh
And we like, "What
Lord.
do you mean? What's going on?" Like he really, he was threatening to call the police and everything, and we hadn't even done it. We hadn't.
Oh, they must have
We,
had something different going on there.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised from the hotel we was at, but um
Man, that's wild.
it was crazy, and we hadn't talked to anybody, we hadn't bothered anybody, we hadn't harassed anybody, we wasn't out there
Hmm.
sagging and wasn't no loud music, so we didn't do anything to antagonize
I mean, if
anybody.
you
But
even if you look at the scene that y'all are in the hotel, like there
yeah,
ain't
it was
nothing
pretty
going
chill.
on.
Right, it
Yeah.
was pretty chill. So we didn't even make it to the hotel room. We didn't even make it to the hotel room.
He just saw the equipment. Oh, he thought, man, that's
He saw the
wild.
crew and the equipment. And honestly, somebody that was there that day, they was like, yeah, he probably thought we was going to shoot a porno or something
That's
like
exactly what I was
that.
just thinking. I was just my mind just went there. It did go there first, but yeah, what they just did.
But yeah, we worked it out. Il McKenzie, who is one of the Visual Dynasty crew, actually the founder of Visual Dynasty. He helped work it out, and we made it work. So it actually came out a little bit better than planned. It was a blessing in disguise. So we
That's
rolled
what's
with
up. That's exactly how that's like a lot of shit happens, man. Like the
it.
first plan don't work out, bet just move on to the next shit, man.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so with being able to be fluid and transition through shit, I know there's a lot of things that I would just assume that as being an artist, you have to be on top of shit. And one of the biggest things you have to be on top is of your mental health. And this is, one thing that I want to make sure that I tap in with everybody about.
Mhm.
So like when it comes to your mental health, like how are you feeling on that front? Do you feel like you're pretty in tune with your mental health? I mean, is it something that you yeah. How do you feel about your mental health right now?
And so this is always a good topic, especially for artists, and I do hope other artists are listening when we cover the mental health of being an artist. Um, but overall, so artistically, you know what I mean, as an artist, because I try to, when it comes to music, I try to separate the music from the man, and that go for
Mm.
any artist. You know what I mean? When it come
It's the
down
second
to
time I've
like
heard that. Yeah.
right, and when it
Heard
come
that.
down to like Kanye is usually my first example with this. A lot of people Kanye crazy and da 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 and blah 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 and this that and the third, but he making dope music. You know what I mean? And for me, it's like I don't necessarily subscribe to some of the stuff that Kanye as a person does and puts out, but that man making fire music. You know what I mean? And so at the end of the day,
Gotcha.
you know, as long as he ain't maliciously causing anybody no harm or anything like that, you know what I mean? I'm gonna bang the music.
That's how I feel
So
about a lot of artists. It's like we don't know these motherfuckers. Like y'all be
right,
like, "Oh, I'm so disappointed in them." Like y'all don't know them. Like y'all
right,
are the
you know,
songs that they made. Like, come on,
exactly.
now.
And so that's what I try to do. To go back and answer the question, on the man side, on the human side, I do feel like there are some things that I need to shore up. Some past things, and then recently being transparent. I've been struggling with kind of like the thought of, you know, your own mortality, leaving a legacy, that kind of thing. I had started wrestling with that a little bit last year, a couple years ago. I actually had heard that one of my homeboys that I used to hang out with heavy, that he had passed from some medical complications, some he had gotten sick, and I don't know all the details, so I don't want to speak too much on it. But I had found out at a show, and it really kind of messed me up. Like for the rest of that show, it was like I was there, I was focused, but anytime I would lose focus from that show, I would drift in and like, damn, I feel like I had just, you know, was in a comment thread with him on Facebook, or I remember the times when we would go to the mall and this, that, and the
Yeah.
third, you know what I mean? So I had that kind of started it. And then January, top of January, I lost a cousin of mine. And it hit home and kind of sent me into a little bit of a spiral, to be honest with you. And then, you know, I started thinking about little stuff like, you know, what are you doing now that's going to be remembered later on? And for me, fame and all that wasn't never really the goal. You know what I mean? I have a young
Yeah.
son. And I want to leave something behind for him when I close my eyes, straight up and down.
For sure.
And so I got to really thinking, and the way I put it was, I'm like, when somebody is in the hospital room and they got their people around them, nobody is like, man, I paid bills like a champ, bro. You know what I mean? Nobody's like, man, my song had 10,000 Spotify plays. Don't nobody
I'm
say that,
good.
bro. Right? You know what I mean? Don't nobody say that. You know what I mean? You want to
Yeah,
really leave
yeah.
behind something that your people can look back, even if 100,000 people don't remember your name. The people that really met you and knew you can look back and be like, yo, he was one hell of a cat, bro. You remember that time he did that? Remember that time he went and we did? You know what I mean? That's really, and so that's where I'm at. As far as the music for me, I feel like is on the up. And there are peaks and valleys. There's definitely times where like I'll see the numbers moving and I'm like, yeah, that's working. I can see we're gonna keep that part of the system and then we just gonna tweak this over here. And like I said, it's a puzzle and I
Yeah.
really enjoy that aspect of it. But then there's times where, you know, nobody visited the website today and nobody streamed the song and
Man,
the
I know what
people
that
didn't
feels
share
like.
the joint. Right. And a lot of
Yeah.
artists do. And you can really get down, but I definitely preach celebrating your small wins. Just like you celebrate the big ones. You might win an award and celebrate that and want to go out with your people and have drinks and all that stuff. And I feel like you should have that same energy when you have a successful show, or you had that same energy when you know, maybe somebody in Florida want to interview you and now you're gonna have a trip down there. And you know, like
Yeah.
there's stuff in between the 100,000 Spotify plays, for example, that can still keep you going, you know, when
Yeah.
things might not be on the up and up. So I definitely preach to artists and I preach to myself, but I definitely preach to artists, celebrate your small wins, appreciate everything, appreciate the people, because like we were saying earlier, it's real easy to get into, dang, I ain't got 10,000 people on this last YouTube video, da 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 da. But
Man.
I tell people to really put this stuff into perspective. You know what I mean? Because if you got 500 views on your YouTube video, right? Imagine if you just put your video on in a Best Buy on one of the TVs. and 500 people stop to watch that. Like they walking around doing other shit and they stop to watch. You'll be like, bro, I had 500 people watching my shit. But because it's on YouTube, you feel like, oh, it ain't da 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 da. Like, bro, that's 500 real people.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, it's not different. It's the same thing. Yeah.
Right. And so, I definitely tell artists, like, rock with what you have while you building more, because those people that are fucking with you, win, lose, or draw, they're there. They're there for you. Yeah. They're there. You not famous. You're not gonna get them on. You're not gonna get them some money. You're not buying them no Birkin bag, but they still there spinning your tracks and sharing it with their friends and stuff like that. So you need to appreciate them first.
Hey man, that baseline crew, like that baseline crew is heavy. And I've definitely have felt the same pressure or the same just the feeling, what I'm saying, when it's just like, I mean, like you have days where it's just like, dang, I had a lot of people that listen to my podcast, what I'm saying, for like, a minute, then it's like it just drops. And I was like, I ain't had listens in like forever, and I'm still putting out content. And that's the thing about it, is like you don't necessarily, or you can't necessarily stop doing what you're doing just because the listens stop. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have to keep putting yourself out there. And I think that, that's one of the biggest struggles that if anything that I would have, compared to like a recording artist, would just be, say putting that consistent effort to put out there, even when it might block, it might blow, it might not, saying that, I feel like I do some pretty cool shit and motherfuckers just don't see it. I'll be like, fuck. Yeah. but it is
and it happens all the time.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I can't imagine the type, we see all these videos and shit of people doing dope shit or good song or all this shit like that, and you'd be like, damn, I'm glad they recorded that. Or at least sometimes I'm like, for me at least, I'm like, I'm glad they recorded that, because I be doing some really dope shit and be like, fuck, did anybody see that? Anybody see shit?
and see, and the thing is, like, somebody always see it. I've gotten more so, especially with social media, I've gotten more so on the views than anything. Even if you don't like it, even if you don't comment on it, whatever, you saw. You know what I mean?
It though. Yeah.
Right. And that's the whole thing. And even if I'll drop a reel and I might get, 187 views, and then I drop another reel and get a couple thousand. And
I know the same feel. I feel like y'all like this, but y'all ain't like that.
Right. And it be like that. You never know what somebody gonna like. So I just, again, you just kind of gotta hold on to win and then try to work with what you got. So if you drop the one and it get 1,500 real views, okay, we're gonna stick with that. We're gonna come up with more videos like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it happens all the time. And then the thing about the views is, somebody, the same way that you'll see it and be like, you know what, I'm glad they recorded that. You know what I mean? I'm glad they got that out and put that into the world. There's somebody else doing the same thing to your podcast, and there might be somebody that never talked to you, that's not following you per se, but they right here watching right now, like, I'm here for it, so I realized a long time ago, especially when stories came out, you find out that a lot of the people really just simply don't see your shit. You know what I mean? It's not because it's whack or it ain't good. It's the algorithm or maybe works. Right. Maybe you had a misspelled word that's put you never. Maybe it's a tone in the song that they didn't like. You know what? Like, you never know.
So easy.
But the one motherfucker that do, I remember I had dropped a reel not too long ago, and one motherfucker commented. I think maybe 4 people liked it. One motherfucker commented. But he was like, yo, this was dope. You know what I mean? Where can I watch, or where can I hear the whole song? That I don't care how many likes I got after that. You know what I mean? It's actually right. It's actually a real person that want to know more. That mean more than, somebody versus just clicking like.
Promote here.
Right. Right. DM for, you know what I mean?
DM for promotion. So, like, God damn, if y'all don't stop with that shit.
Right. So I definitely, stuff like that, hold on to it. Artist to artist, person to person, stuff like that, hold on to it, because it could be nobody anywhere liking your stuff. Anytime anybody ever comment, they could be like, stop posting. This shit whack. You a clown. Da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? Don't quit your day job. Like, if you're getting some positive feedback, if hell, if even your mama is like, yo, I like that song you did, baby, like that's
Hey, you
somebody
gotta
that's a
take it.
real human. Right. If
Mm-hmm.
one person like it, 2 people will like it, and 4 people will like it. You just got to get out there.
Big facts. Big facts. Yeah, I'm definitely the same way. Like anybody that comes up, actually, let me make sure I'm not ignoring the comments. Got a few people that popped up. Melissa
Shout out to
Baker
everybody watching.
popped up. Pinhead Larry, what's going on, Pinhead, with your ugly ass? He popped up. Z Baby popped up. But yeah, definitely had a few people pop up on here. But yeah, so actually let me forget what I was going to say. What was I going to say? Man, because yeah, we've been just like that's what I really like about, that's what I try to aim for on my podcast, is just having a conversation with the artist. I can sit here and berate you with a whole bunch of questions about your music and what's your next single. And I used to do that. I used to have those conversations, but now I'm just like, I want to actually just have a conversation and really give, what I'm
Right.
saying, people the opportunity to see, what I'm saying, to have a different, what I'm saying, view of you and kind of how you go through day-to-day life. And
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 I'm sorry.
low key, as an artist, like you can tell the difference. You can really. I'm not sure if a lot of podcasters know that as artists, especially if you've done a few of these, you can tell the difference between somebody that's really interested and doing their research and want to know more versus somebody that's just like, okay, we got somebody on the show tonight. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I definitely prefer the interviews where somebody is looking like you watch some videos, you seen some of the content, there's something that you could talk about other than, well, like you said, how'd you get your start, where how long you been rapping, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, when's your next single? Like, that's stuff that I definitely want to talk about because it's also important. But these conversational interviews are a lot, it's more fluid, it's more
for sure.
natural. You get more of the real, and I appreciate that.
I appreciate you, man. And like I said, it's 25, if not a little bit. It's like 20% me and 80% y'all, because I set the tone and we just kind of flow off it like that, you know what I'm saying? Because not everybody is as easy to talk to and as easy to bounce the things off of. So, I really appreciate that from, what I'm saying, all the artists that have the courage that,
So,
what I'm saying, to come on here in any aspect. Artists, content creators, all the same, influencers, all y'all. I really appreciate y'all. Um, but going back into your music, actually,
yeah, oh yeah.
circling back, what is your goal when you make music? Like, what is your, like, what do you, because you had mentioned earlier, you said fame in that great sense, is not necessarily the goal. But when you make music, I mean, what is that goal for you? Because I think that's a misunderstood concept with a lot of people in the industry. People that just think that you want to be famous. So
Right.
like, yeah. So yeah, what is your goal specifically?
So again, separating it from the man and the music. Musically, my goal when I first started writing music, it was just to express stuff, get stuff off my chest. Like, hip hop was my journal to start with. You know
Mm,
what I mean? It wasn't even on no, yo, I want people to hear this song and fall in love and da 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 da. It was really just, I was a 10-year-old kid. I had stuff that, I wanted to talk about that I couldn't. That's my very first song that I ever wrote was a sex song. You know what I mean? And
like
to
most
be
young boys are.
right, you know what I mean? But for
Wanna have
me,
intercourse. I was like,
right. But for me, it was because, to be honest, I started early. You know what I mean? I,
mhm.
I started way too early. So by the time I had started really writing rhymes and getting the stuff off my chest, it was at a time where I had just like experienced
You would have some
sex and
experience in there.
sexuality. Right. And I didn't know, I couldn't talk to nobody. I can't go and dad, I had sex, da 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 da. Like, that ain't gonna go so well when you a 10-year-old kid and you ain't supposed to
Yeah.
be, you know what I mean? So I wrote about it. And I don't remember none of the lyrics, so don't ask me to rap none of it. But
I
I
was
do
just about to say,
remember.
go ahead, spit a
Nah,
bar.
I ain't got it. But I do remember that it was absolute trash. It was a song by a 10-year-old kid about a subject that he really didn't know what it was, what he was doing, what he was talking about. I only experienced it one time, and it was clumsy, and we fumbled around, and doing what you ain't got no business doing. So
For
that
sure.
was the extent of that song, but that was me getting that I gotta tell somebody. So I told it to the notebook. So to this day, that's really my first goal is to just get stuff off my chest because a lot of my music starts with a mood. The Love
Gotcha.
Affair, Don Julio, going back to that one. In all honesty, not exclusively, like not totally, not fully, but it
I was
was
gonna ask you if
about,
that was a yeah, what that
yeah,
was
that
about.
one was the mood for that one was based on struggling to let go of my ex. You know what I mean? My baby mom. And and again, I say loosely because I don't want nobody to be like, "Oh, you still stuck on your baby mama, huh?" You know what I mean? But it won't like that. But it
I was about to
started
say,
with
yeah,
a
don't put
mood,
yourself out there, bro.
right? You know what I mean? It won't necessarily like that because there was a little bit of toxicity in there, like I
Mhm.
said, and
You
so
you know, you dramatize it, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you gotta
that's a
dramatize some
perfect
shit
word
for
for it.
sure.
That's a perfect word for it. And so that's kind of where it starts. So that that's my goal is to get stuff off my chest, and then secondarily is to let other people know, whether you an artist, whether you just a fat kid at the lunch table, you know what I mean, that
Mhm.
it's okay to be you, you know what I mean, it's okay. Everybody ain't gonna like you, everybody ain't gonna fuck with you, but I'm a big nigga with glasses and man boobs, and if I can do it, god damn it, you can too, you know what I
And,
mean.
and you know is crazy because it's like, damn, make sure I'm keeping my damn train of thought. It's crazy because you put out this music and it's kind of like you just pretty much like staying you, being you know what I'm saying, like
Yep.
regardless of what the move is. But honestly, your lyricism is not like, okay, what am I trying to say? um I feel like a lot of the times when I heard a lot of this, like I said, the first time that I heard Gristle, I gotta keep going back to this track because it really just, it threw me off. You know what I'm saying? You were just like, hey man, they said I need to do something more lyrical. So, and then
Yeah.
you literally just like you ripped it up. And it was only like, a minute and 30 seconds between the time that it starts to the time that you started. I mean, time it started when you started, but it stopped. But it was literally like you really applied that pressure. And it's kind of like you almost held back to an extent. Like I feel like you held back, or I feel like, or maybe on like some of your other tracks, like you could hit it with that aggressive pressure, but you don't because you just orchestrate it differently, which I'm not saying there's not wrong
Yeah.
with that. But it's like,
Right.
so is that by on purpose? Like, do you not, it's kind of like when I heard what's his name? Isaiah Rashad, he was talking about the difference between when the rapper blanks and when he just lyrical. He
Yeah.
was just like Kendrick Lamar isn't super lyrical. He just be blanking. Like, when he raps, it's just like when you break down his lyrics, they're pretty basic, but he just does it in a way that's crazy as hell. You go between blanking and lyrical in a lot of your songs, and a lot of artists can't do that shit. So it's like, is that shit on purpose, or is it just different by the vibe?
It's actually a little bit of both. I'll definitely go in. Again, it starts with a mood.
Mm,
And no two moods are exactly the same. So even if I have a similar mood to Gristle, which Gristle, so when I first wrote Gristle, since we were on that one, when I first wrote Gristle, it was for me, there's a difference between writing songs and just like you said, just blanking. There are
mhm.
times with Gristle, I got on the pen and the paper, and it was like, there's no topic. I ain't got no concept to stick to. This
Just
just
went
bars.
off.
I ain't got no hook. It's just bars. You know what I mean? So at that point, you kind of got a certain freedom to say what needs to be said in the track rather than, with Love Affair Don Julio, I can't in the middle of the track suddenly be like, yeah, and then I beat a nigga ass. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah,
You
facts,
know.
facts.
So it's definitely the vibe, but at the same time, it's an individual mood. Different songs will have different vibes, naturally,
Mhm.
depending on the mood. So
It was almost
with
like the
Gristle, like
perfect contrast between I think Gristle and you said the I'm sorry, the love what's the name of the track again? I want to
the
misread
love
it.
of the love affair
Love
of
of
Don
Don Julio.
Julio.
Yeah, Love Without
Yep.
Hulu. Yeah. So it's like those tracks are the perfect contrast, I would say, between Lil Wayne's 6 foot, 7 foot, where he blanked,
Yep.
and Tie My Hands with is it Tie My Hands? I want to say it's Tie My Hands, what he did with Robin Thicke. It's like where he's like what he's saying is more lyrical on one track versus the other track. He's just 6 foot, 7 foot. You listen to it, like a lot of the shit, he was just like, what? But he
Just
made it
did
sound
right.
good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, not saying that that's what your track is, but actually, when I broke down Gristle and I watched a few reaction videos, was actually crazy about it. And I was watching them, and like when you broke down Gristle, like even though your bars made sense only by like some by 6, some by 8, so it's like you really had to catch what you were saying. Everything
Hmm.
still compounded together. You weren't on like some Cameron, bim 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 bim, saying it made sense,
Right.
which I appreciate, because some fast rappers or some rappers, when they start to just spit fast, it's like you think that
Speak.
you're gonna get
Right.
over our head by saying some bullshit. Like, no, I'm actually listening.
And I learned that when you're a lyricist, it's as much of what you say as how you say it. You know, they always say it's not what you say, it's how you say it. But when you're a lyricist, it's definitely a little bit of both. Because
Mhm.
you could say, like you said, you could say some bullshit hard as hell with your chest, with
And
some rhymes
motherfucker
and
be
some
like,
cadence to it. Nah, bro, that ain't come off like you thought it did. And then at the same time, you could say something that's deep as hell, that's real as hell, that's hard, but you said it boring. You ain't put no emphasis or no
and it,
feeling in it.
people
And it's
miss it.
like, right. So you definitely got to kind of mix that to where, you know, you saying something like they're gonna, because even if you spitting fast, I think a lot of people feel like if they spitting fast, they can get away with it. But you don't realize a lot of people gonna listen to that song more than one time. Think about the people that's gonna listen to that song
I'm
a
them
hundred times in
people.
the car, right?
You ain't gonna get
And
shit
so
past me,
now,
motherfucker. You slow your
right,
ass down to make that shit make sense, because I'm gonna call you.
exactly. So now it's like, wait a minute, I liked it because it was catchy. Like I said, when I first listened to a song, it was catchy. The hook was hot, the beat was
Hmm.
hot, but then as I started listening to it, I realized more deeply why I actually like the song, because you can catch lyrics and stuff subconsciously that you didn't even realize. I fuck with the
Exactly.
song because it sound good, but you really fuck with the song because you can relate to it, and you don't realize it at first. So,
Those are some of the best artists, man. That relation, and the ones that really got to listen to that
exactly.
shit a couple times, man. Double, triple
And so,
entendres and shit. Yeah.
exactly. And so going with, sticking with Gristle, I actually wrote it. I wrote that one. I want to say I really wrote that one 2015, 2016, something like that.
Okay.
But it sat in the notebook for the longest because it was originally supposed to be a part of a song. But I had got that first part done. It was like 24 bars or something like that.
Hmm.
And I didn't really know what else I didn't know which way I wanted to go with it after that. And I came back to it. I wound up coming back to it because I actually had a cat. This was a crazy story. I had a cat in like 2020 who, I mean, he was a heavy supporter. He was all on my music, sharing everything, commenting. I mean, if he was still rocking with me, he would probably be watching this interview right now. You know what I mean? Type stuff. Like, he was
Hmm.
digesting all the content, and I definitely appreciated him for it. And then one day out the blue, I don't know what happened, who, what, when, where, and why. We had been cool the day before, and then out the blue, he was just like, "Yo, man, I don't really rock with your music like I've been saying. I don't really like your music like that. You make a lot of twerk music, and I need something more lyrical and da da da." And I'm really just sitting here reading this random out the blue message, like, bro,
Oh, he messaged you. He
you
couldn't even
wrote,
call you. He couldn't even call you and tell
yeah.
you.
I mean, we wasn't, we was more so, he's definitely long distance. We was more so like social media friends than anything.
Yeah.
Um, So, but I mean, it was just it was out of left field. It really smacked me out of left field, and I'm like, that's cool. I handle it amicably because everybody ain't gonna like your stuff, and it was
Yeah.
weird, but it is what it is. Like, okay, well, thank you for the support that you did give, and da 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 da. But um, you know, what stuck out to me was when he was like, you make a lot of twerk music, and I need something more lyrical. So that's why I said that at the beginning
like
of
you
the track.
said that shit, yeah.
Right. When I went, and like that's why I said my music start with a mood. You know what I mean? So when I went in the studio, and I hadn't even really planned on like addressing that or anything like that, but I found that verse and I spit it. I spit the verse first before I put that part at the beginning, and it was so hard. You know what I mean? Like you felt
that shit
when I wrote it. Right. When I wrote it, it was hard. But then when I spit it and got it recorded, I was like, yo, this shit is dope. And then I was like, I'm in my head, like, yeah, motherfucker, how's that for lyrical? You know what I mean? How's that for so? I was like, let me put this at the beginning. You know,
I ain't know if you was talking to somebody when I heard that shit, but I was like, yo, whoever the fuck you talking to, like, because I was like, oh, shit, like, you know, did you? You fucked that shit up, man. So I mean, yeah, shout out to whoever the fuck you are. Yeah, because he you know what I'm saying? He said he appreciate the support because that definitely fired him up because that nigga he ripped that shit up, man. Sure. And going full circle, man, just kind of bringing this wrapping this up, what would be if there was one message that you could get across to everyone in the world right now, like something that would just go across everybody's phone, like a text message, what would it be? If you could just make it, you know, in a few sentences, what would that be to everybody?
It's easy. I got one sentence for everybody watching right now. Keep doing you. Somebody gonna feel it. That's my message to everybody. Don't try to switch up and be like somebody else, because the people that's coming to you is coming to you to see you. And when they get there and they find out you not you and you somebody else, now you fake. You know what I mean? So be who you are and rock with the people that rock with you. Keep doing you. Somebody gonna feel it. Somebody gonna feel it. Somebody gonna feel it, bro. It might not be who you want to feel it, but somebody gonna feel it.
Hey, I really appreciate that. Those are some real words, man. Just stay in your own lane, be you. Somebody gonna feel you. People need you to be you, man. I really appreciate you coming on to the show, man. Real shit, man. It's been an amazing interview, man. And what I want you to do, actually, real before we get off, man, please plug yourself in. Let everybody know where they can follow you and also where they can hear your music.
I make it real easy for everybody. Just check out my website, imthefatboy.com. imthefatboy.com. I don't know if you can see my name down there in the bottom. I'm the FatBoy. So .com at the end of that. My music is there, my interviews. I'm gonna throw this one up there probably this weekend so you can see it over and over. You know, imthefatboy.com. You could imthefatboy.com. If you go to my contact page, you can find all my socials if you want to follow me. All my music is up there. You can find me on Spotify, Amazon Music, all that good stuff up there. So I really try to make it real easy for everybody to follow me. You ain't got no excuse. You can't act like you don't know where I'm at. I'm thefatboy.com.
Already, man. You made it real easy for me. Y'all need to take note. I'm thefatboy.com. Literally, everything you're gonna look for under that artist is right there under him, man. Like I said, I appreciate you coming on to the show. Everybody that tapped in today, comments been going crazy. Country Fan Mail podcast. Once again, man, I really appreciate you, and we out of here, man. I'll let you.
Thank you.
Have a good one. We can avoid all that by you doing me this simple favor. You brought him in the world, and you're gonna take him out. And I want it done before the week is out.
Yeah. It's like a movie, the way that he moving. Rolling the doobie, sauerkraut on the roof. And this nigga sitting like he hocking the loogie. I'm politicking, I got it,